SkyBoxx.
Welcome to the SkyBoxx.
It's me, Michael C., the source of life over the mic. My guests and I will share our stories and experiences. On the show today, we have my guy, Omari Jackson. And we're just going to talk about COVID and education in China and the United States. Just sit back and relax. Guarantee you, we got a good one for you. You already know what time it is. Let's go get him. Ah, we're back. We're back. You already know what it is. It's Michael C., the source of life over the mic. Let's sit back and relax, y'all. I'm going to tell you right now, this guy is one of the most genuine guys I know, one of the most humblest guys I know. When he sat back and told us his plan, everybody sat back, wasn't really sure about it. But I knew that this guy, as humble as he was, as smart as he was going to put his mind to it and he was going to make it happen. And what he did was, he went over to China and he's trying to teach kids a little bit of English. And at the end of the day, I salute this man. It's my guy, Big O, Omari Jackson.
What up, my guy?
What's good with you,
Good to
fella?
see you.
You
Good to
already
see
know what
you,
it is, guy.
You
You
know.
already know. You already
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
What's good, man? All right, let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
Let's get right
Do
into it.
Let's do it.
What was the state of COVID in the country when it first hit?
Oh man. So it was back in 2000 and it'll be 2020. Chinese New Year. So it was January 2020. When COVID really got known in Shanghai. But we didn't really know much about it because it was all in Chinese. But I remember I was going to Hong Kong for a holiday. Going to Hong
Right.
Kong, and they said there's some outbreak in Wuhan. And I'm thinking, well, it's Wuhan. I've never been there anyway, so we didn't really know what it was. But then a lot of people were getting affected. I was abroad watching the news at the time, and the cases kept going up and up in China. But there was a lot of hysteria in China. A lot of stuff doesn't get covered, obviously, because of restrictions on what the news does. But
Right.
they definitely had their own issues. But from the looks of everything, from what I could see, is they stamped it out pretty quickly in terms of spreading within the country.
Right. What was your mind state when all this happened? Your personal mind state.
Personal mind state, I was just, I had my mask on. They said, put a mask on. They didn't really know what it was. So I put my mask on, try to stay away from people as much as I possibly could. But to be honest, like I really wasn't impacted by COVID at all living over in China.
That's good. God bless. God bless. What were some of the restrictions, the immediate restrictions that were over there?
So, for those of you who don't know China, the government is really powerful over there. So when they want to do something, they do it from the top down, and everybody follows. So with COVID, when that first came out, the first thing they do is they shut down Wuhan. So they said in 7 days, Wuhan, the whole city, I mean, 15, 20 million people are going to get shut down. You can't leave the city. Everyone has to stay in their house. But in places like Shanghai, where there wasn't that many cases ever, we were kind of urged not to go out unless it was to go get food at the grocery store if you need to go to the hospital. But that only lasted about 2 weeks. And then after that, everything kind of opened up, restaurants, but everything was documented in terms of where you've been in the last 14 days. Everyone has a green QR code on their phone that shows that you've never been to a high-risk area where COVID was. And that's how it was. I mean,
So you think they were really on point when all of this really happened?
Man, there was absolutely no issue with them putting these restrictions in when it happened. It happened like that. No questions asked.
Right.
Yeah.
So like you were saying it was like 2 weeks. So it didn't really affect your livelihood, did it?
It didn't. The only thing I couldn't do during COVID was travel. And the only reason I couldn't travel is because if you leave China and you come back, you got to do 2 weeks in a government hotel, but you cannot leave.
Oh.
So unlike the U.S., we don't have quarantine. This is a thing. So if I would go to China right now, I'd be doing 14 days in a government quarantine hotel, tested 5-6 times before in that 2 week span, and then also tested a few more times after I get out of quarantine.
Ooh.
Yeah, just to make sure you don't have COVID.
So what's the mind state now after a year later?
In China?
Yes, in the country. Of China.
COVID's not even a topic of conversation. To be honest, COVID now in China is seen as a foreign problem. It's not even considered a Chinese problem anymore. So it changed a lot.
It changed a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I bet. Growing up, going all the way from doing, how does it feel when you the feeling of now that we're looking at the teaching of children? Give me that. What was that feeling when you first impacted that first child out there?
When I first got over there, like you mentioned, I went over there to teach English, and that was only for a year. I was only supposed to stay in China for a year, but it ended up being 8 years. So I always liked teaching. I used to teach over there in Harrisburg School District for a couple of years before I went over to China. So I always liked teaching. I actually got my certification when I was in China to become a certified teacher. And now I'm a PE teacher, so that's what I do. But yeah, the kids are great. They're a lot different. But Chinese kids, they work really hard. There's a lot of pressure on them to succeed. So they're heavily pushed, but also they work very hard. So these kids are great to teach.
So, like, as an educator, what was the biggest impact for you?
As an educator, just being able to give some students a little bit of understanding of a different culture that they may not normally see in China. And I think that was the biggest thing, particularly being a Black man from America. I was able to bring a different perspective to them than what they were used to seeing on television.
Oh,
so
I bet.
I think that was the biggest impact on them.
Oh, I bet. Did you see any decline with your students because of COVID-19?
Well, we were only online for 2 months, so our schools actually did shut down for 2 months, and we were online just as a preventive measure. I mean, yeah, they were in middle school, so some students, they got on with it. Others had the issues, because there was no one there telling them what to do. But it went by really quickly when we were back in school, so the online never really impacted me.
You're a U.S. citizen, and you've also been in China. What's the difference between the handling between the two countries
in terms of
COVID-19?
Okay. Again, I'm not a politician,
right.
But one thing I do kind of see is in the States, we need to someone tell us what to do, but then we choose what we want to do.
Right.
And we make up whatever we want in our heads, and then we make our decision. We base our decision on that.
Right.
And I think in China, when the government tells you that we're going to go and do this, you're going to go and do it, and there's not a question asked, because that's how people are raised. They don't question the government. So it's COVID, although bad, for China, it was like they had everything in place to kind of control all the people. So I think that's why they weren't impacted so much by this pandemic.
One last question, Big Fella, and then you get a shout out, and then you can ride out. When it comes down to all of this with the education and COVID and all that, do you think anything in your livelihood got affected because of that?
So my livelihood is one of the reasons I actually want to go abroad, so I can travel around freely. And this is one thing I've done for 6 years plus.
Right.
Before COVID happened.
International.
Yeah. And now what COVID does is it changed that dynamic, because you have to understand, every foreigner out there, whether American, British, from wherever they are from, we all have the kind of same mindset. We're here to teach, but we're also here to see the world.
Right.
So I think this impacted not just me, but a lot of people. So people I know who've been international for 15, 20, 25 years, they actually came back to their home countries because they were kind of stuck in China.
Right. Right.
And that wasn't what most people who moved there wanted to
Wanted to
be.
do.
You know, Shanghai is a great city, it's like New York. But we want to go to the beach. You
It's
know, we
not
want to go to
home.
Thailand.
Not
We wanna,
home,
exactly. You know, we want to go home and see our families, and this is something that we always do every year. But last summer, obviously, nothing, you know, in this summer. So
Right.
I just luckily got here because of COVID in my next school.
Right.
So I got a job in Vietnam, so I'll be going over there. But because they're shut down, I got to come back here and teach online. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah, well, more power to you, brother. You got any shout out?
Yeah. Hey, shout out to everybody in Shanghai, Harrisburg, everybody, man. Shout out to everybody.
You already know what it is. You already know what it is, guy. You already know what it is. We could do this all day, but if you have any thoughts, questions, or concerns, hit me up at the number one, SkyBoxx at gmail.com. If you're on your favorite podcast app or YouTube, all you have to do is search the SkyBoxx. Click that like and subscribe button. It's only $3.99. If you're on IG, all you have to do is search at SkyBoxx Pod. And if you're on Facebook, search me, Michael C. or Michael Curtis, Micheal Curtis. Again, I want to thank my man, Big O, for coming through on the SkyBoxx. You already know what it is, guys. And you know who it is. It's Michael C. Source of life over the mic. And also remember, be good to yourself, y'all. Go to YouTube. Hit that like and subscribe button. It's only $3.99. $3.99? Are we only on YouTube? Nope. Are we on Google? Yep. How about Anchor? Yep. Are we on Spotify? Yep. How can they find us? Search the SkyBoxx. Thank you for watching the SkyBoxx. And remember, click one of these 3 videos that's related to the SkyBoxx and click that like and subscribe button. It's only $3.99. And also,